The cost of your overexertion has not been fully seen yet. So what do I mean by this? Basically what I mean is that a lot of us are operating from a nervous system that is sort of in overdrive and hyperactive mode. And this is sort of like a car engine that is just going and going and going, and eventually that engine is going to burn out and it's not going to be able to work as properly as it would work if it had proper maintenance and it wasn't overexerted. And so our nervous system works a lot like a car engine. It can drive and it can function and it has a certain ability and certain capacity to do what it does. But then after a certain point, it reaches that capacity. And basically, because so many of us are so stimulated from the food we eat and the content we consume, the music we listen to, the social interaction that we're constantly surrounded with, just such an bombardment of stimulation that the human nervous system wasn't necessarily designed for or equipped to be able to handle. Our nervous system basically gets like overworked and put into overdrive. And so why I'm bringing this up is because a lot of us will operate in this highly active, highly functional mode for many, many months, many years. And because of the fact that like we are able to sustain it and keep going, we think that it's fine, right? And we think that we're able to handle it and process it and it'll be okay. But what we're not realizing is that the consequence of this overexertion does not show up until we stop function and until we enter into a different state. Basically, like when the car is driving, it's only when the car stops that you can go and check the engine and see how the engine's actually doing, right? In the same way, a really good example I like to use, and maybe I'll put some pictures up on the screen and it's post-editing, but if you look at like Ellen DeGeneres, for example, right? So she worked her entire career, many years, and sort of maintained a specific physical appearance, right? And then she retires, and if you look at some pictures of her, like, 6 months post-retirement, and it's like she just looks totally deteriorated. And it's like you would wonder, like, why wasn't those signs of deterioration showing sooner when she was still working? And that's because this principle that I'm talking about, this is a direct reflection of this concept, right? So it's only when you pause and rest that your nervous system goes from that hyperactive, like constant alpha, constant overdrive mode into like more of a regular delta mode, or you shift from the basically sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system. That the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest one, basically when you enter that, that's when your body can finally start to stop allocating its resources towards like the motor function of the body, and it starts allocating those resources to recovery of the body, right? So like when you're in survival mode, if there is a threat around you, your resources and all of the priority of your being is going to go towards survival. Everything that you have is going to go towards focusing and forward movement, right? But that's very taxing on the system, right? Like yes, it's possible to function at that high level, but it takes a lot of resources. It really strains the system to do that. Sort of like weightlifting, and you go into the gym and every single day for 2 hours straight, you're lifting the heaviest weights. Like it puts a major strain on your body. Until you go from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic nervous system more regularly, and until you take that foot off the gas and finally take that rest, basically all of your resources and all of your attention is going to be continuing on the forward motion. It's not going to go towards like checking the systems or recovery of the systems. But then you come to a stop, you retire like Ellen, or you reach burnout, or some sort of health consequence basically comes up and starts preventing you from stopping this forward momentum once and for all. And then you see the consequences. Then you see the effect that all of this overworking has had on you. And this is when the pain comes. This is when the breakdowns happen. This is when you actually see what you've been doing to your body clearly. And it's not, for many people, it's not a fun sight to see. It's very difficult, it's very challenging, and it can be yeah, like a very stark, harsh wake-up call to see what you've actually been doing to your body. So the reason why I tell you this is because in order to prevent burnout, in order to prevent these more serious consequential circumstances from happening, in order to prevent these deep breakdowns from happening, the encouragement is to actively spend some time in that more restful place, that parasympathetic place, throughout this overexertion that we all do. And yes, like, you still have to go to work, you still have to take care of the kids, you still have to do everything that is involved in modern life, but rather than consuming more when you get home and you sit on your phone for 2 hours a night scrolling, the recommendation is to like sit in silence, sit in stillness, and basically limit the amount of senses that you're taking in, even just doing it once a week to really check in with where your body's at, and using that data, that information, to determine if you can continue to handle the stress and the strain that you're putting on your nervous system. If you can, great. If you can't, then you're going to have to make some adjustments. But it's so much better that you realize this and you understand this now, so that you don't get slapped with that unbelievable wake-up call that will happen if you do just continue to go. And because you can go, you think it's fine, but I'm telling you, it's not. It really isn't. There will be a breaking point, there will be a burnout, there will be some health consequence that happens that is basically your body saying, like, the engine meter is going off, this can't continue, and if it does, then it'll be a total breakdown, right? So yes, understand that the signs and the consequences of overexertion do not show up until you stop the overexertion. It's not the signs show up and then you stop. It is once you stop, then you'll really see. So remember that.